I wanted to be able to provide that information to our customers so they can be evaluating what they may need to do and if they have any damage. So in closing, those without power are our top priority. We are working around the clock to get customers restored, and we've made a lot of progress in recent days, but we still have about 15,000 customers out of power that we are working very hard to get back on. Our promise is to continue that for these customers, and we will keep you updated and continue collaborating with all of our restoration partners until we get this successfully completed.
All right, please raise your hand. We'll take questions. We'll go start here, then here.
So customers and now even the Speaker of the House in Tennessee are calling for the resignation of NES management. Do you believe you and other NES executives should resign from your positions after this incident?
Accountability is important, and right now we are in active recovery, but we have plenty of time to do after action review and evaluate things that we could have done better.
Speaking of things you could have done better, I've been looking at an audit, and I want to just give you a chance to talk about that. The audit talks about did NES do enough when it comes to vegetation management, tree trimming prior to this storm? And it said unforeseen challenges prevented trimming sufficient miles in 2025. There was also a budget cut of $7 million. So did NES do enough on things like tree trimming prior to the storm?
Tree trimming has always been an integral part of our power maintenance program. So we've had a pretty aggressive tree trimming program for years. We actually have not cut the budget. The budget has increased every year over the last 4 years. We're spending, I think, $21.6 million this year on tree trimming.
It was $13 million. You're saying you did not cut the budget?
We did not cut the budget for tree trimming. It has increased every year for the last 4 years.
And you think you did enough?
I know we have an active tree trimming program, and I personally have not evaluated the miles we've trimmed, but we have certainly been aggressively trimming trees.
Okay, we're going to go here, then here.
Yeah, Austin from Boston with the Tennessee. Per one of my colleagues, according to your annual reports, though, you spent 33% less dollars on contract tree and grass from 2023 to 2025, from $21.28 million down to $14.298 million, respectively. So, clarify. I don't really understand how, kind of stemming from that line of questioning, how that represents an increase, right? Unless, can you clarify? Is that a different number than what you're talking about? Or?
It is a different number that I'm talking about. The budgeted number was really the question, and we have not cut the budget in tree trimming. It has increased over every year over the last 4 years. Now, I am aware there was a change in vendor a few years ago that I believe probably resulted in more favorable pricing than was previously in place, but the budget itself has not been touched. It's increased.
If you're under budget, why not spend additional money to get more trees trimmed?
There may be a plan to trim more trees. I mean, I don't know that we weren't trimming additional trees in that case.
Last year you were $4 million. You said $18 million budget. You only spent $14 million on tree trimming. What could that $4 million have done? How many trees could you have trimmed with that didn't get trimmed?
Well, as I've stated, tree trimming is a critical part of what we do, and we do have a very robust vegetation management program.
Okay, we have some other folks.
What's your updated timeline on getting all power restored for the customers?
We have, to provide information to our customers, we have the restoration estimates on the website. I believe the current date for that full completion is the 9th. We are working aggressively to try to beat that. We have even more crews joining tomorrow. As I stated earlier, we have 1,800 line workers on our system right now, the most that's ever been on the NES system, and we are adding more over 100 tomorrow.
I have a clarifying question. Are you saying that there's improvement now because you are hiring more linemen from the last press conference?
There are a variety of reasons why we could be seeing some improvement.
Right, and one of those reasons that you have more linemen now from the last press conference.
Certainly adding line workers can help with your
Have you
time.
done so?
We have added line workers throughout our restoration process as we've been able to safely integrate them into our system.
Correct, so my question really then is, if you are now able to add more linemen, how are you able to do so when the last press conference, it was stated that you were not able to do so because it would be dangerous and they have to be able to work and understand all of the equipment, all of the different grids and all of those things. What has changed that now you are able to hire more linemen, and why wasn't that the case earlier? That's my specific question.
I think what was stated at the last press conference was we were scaling our workforce. So we were gradually adding line workers as we were able to safely absorb them. So we are simply adding them as part of a plan where we're scaling up.
And are you continuing to scale up then to make the process even faster? What are we looking at? What can we tell the customers that are cold? What can we tell the ones that have children that they don't have a place to shower before school? I'm just wanting to make sure that we're giving this information accurately of how quickly we're getting more linemen and when they're going to be able to live comfortably again, because this has been a very long process. I come from a cold state originally, and I just have to be honest. People are dying and people are really hurt at this time. So what can we tell them when it comes to the response of the linemen?
We have an incredible amount of concern for our customers who are out of power and restored as quickly as possible. So in recent days, we added 500 linemen yesterday. We have additional linemen we're adding tomorrow. So we are, as we can safely absorb them, we are flooding our system with them. And I think what we talked about the other day was that we have to have someone that is trained on hazardous energy control on our system that can lead the line workers around. We can't just dump them in our system and let them go. System control can't see them. They need clearances from system control. So someone has to be trained on that to lead them. So we had brought additional people in and done an expedited training on hazardous energy control so we could deploy more linemen.
Okay, we're going to go here, then over here, here.
Thank you. Some residents are saying they're having an easier time putting out signs and getting faster responses than using online responses. Why is that? And what is the workflow like for your online inquiries? Is that true?
For online, we are aware of all of our customers who are without power. And Brandon mentioned something a moment ago that I think is important. You have a lot of customers now that may be the only one in their neighborhood that's out, where they've had their weatherhead damaged and they've had to have an electrician come out. So they're somewhat isolated. We had been getting the large outages restored. Until we were able to get all of our high voltage lines restored, we were focused on those. We now are kind of splitting the workforce and retooling to have smaller crews to go address those one-off customers and that are kind of by themselves in their neighborhood waiting on power. And they have not been forgotten. We are deploying two-man crews to go tackle those.
Okay.
Is putting out signs something you encourage to get a response if a crew is out in the neighborhood? Do you feel like that is an easier way for people to get you guys to come in?
Not necessarily. Our crews are deployed to where they are most needed, and when they're working in an area, they have a schedule of places they're going to be. I heard about the signs yesterday, and I suspect it's that some of them have some sympathy for people and are stopping to help. So I don't encourage it, but it can't hurt.
So go here, then here.
I assume that you've seen the risk management report from November that Ben was referencing earlier? Your internal report?
Oh, the ERM report, yes.
Yes, exactly. Well, in there, it was highlighted red about the vegetation removal and that sort of thing, but you said that you haven't pulled any money from that. What exactly were they trying to warn you about in that report?
Well, that report is intended to look at all risks of the organization and the impact of those risks.
So you're admitting that tree vegetation is a risk?
Tree vegetation is a risk for all utilities that have, for all utilities that have trees on their system.
I don't
But
think
in the
they were
report it
trying to-
said, unforeseen challenges prevented trimming sufficient miles in 2025.
Can you explain what those challenges are?
On our tree trimming program, I know that we are on track for this year with our tree trimming.
But you weren't in 2020. This is fiscal year last year. You weren't on track last year. Do you know why you were not on track?
I don't recall that statement, but we are on track with our tree trimming this year.
I wanted to go back to the lineman conversation. We understand you can't just take anyone off the street who says, I'm a lineman. You have to go through the vetting process. How many were rejected in that vetting process? And then also I wanted to ask about the mutual aid. I don't know if they're contracts or agreements that you have. Did you only accept help from linemen that had those mutual aid agreements with you? And is there any type of financial or contractual reason why you would take those linemen first over others who were here and ready and available? Did you push them aside to take the ones that you had agreements with?
The mutual aid process is really important because it's utilities helping other utilities, and there's already a standard contract in place for those. So we can quickly onboard those utilities, those line workers. We know that they have had all the training and vetting that we need, so we can quickly onboard them. And so we start with them and the contractors that we already have on contract, because you can quickly deploy them.
Did you accept any from outside of those mutual aid contracts?
We did. We have accepted line workers from all over the country.
Okay, we're got here and here, and not people last two.
Thank you first off for taking our questions. You mentioned in the last press conference that you all were prepared for a snowstorm, not really an ice storm. Can you clarify that? Because NWS, I believe every meteorologist from each station that's in here has said that there's a potential of ice, dangerous ice. So is there a reason why you guys weren't truly prepared for the ice from last week?
Adequate planning for any kind of storm is really important. With regard to this one, we certainly were planning for the predicted weather. As it migrated to being predicted as an ice storm, we were arranging for crews, and we were arranging for an adequate number of crews. We just did not necessarily have them on site.
Why not? Why weren't they on site?
When you have a storm of that magnitude and the forecast is moving quickly and no one really knows where the ice is going to go. A few days prior, it was supposed to go to Memphis. So when it pivoted to Nashville, we called Memphis and said, can we have all of your contract crews if it doesn't hit you? So a lot of them were sitting in Memphis.
The first question mentioned the Speaker of the House calling for the resignation of people on the NES leadership. There's also been criticism from the mayor, from the governor. Have you been surprised? How do you respond to some of the criticism you have seen? What are your thoughts about that and the calls for resignation?
As I mentioned earlier, accountability is important, and we are committed to working with all of our community and political leaders.
We were told a couple of years ago when there was an ice storm coming out and people were out of power for days that this wouldn't happen again. Why did it happen again?
I'm not aware of what you're referencing.
Okay,
My last
sorry.
question is just how do people contact NES to just let them know if there are any more further problems? What's the best way for connecting any issues or any new issues with your company?
Are you referencing account issues, power outage issues?
Power outage issues, and maybe they took down a tree outside of their house to make it easier for NES to come that they were told they had to do before they were able to do more work. What's the best form of communication with NES right now?
They can call us. That's the best way. If they've had in that situation, if they've had a tree removed, it's best to call us just to make sure that whatever note we had on the account, we're returning to that property to fix it for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Generally, what's your response to the state legislature wanting to have legislative oversight?
We are committed to working with all of our political leadership.
There's concern that NES lobbyists in the past have prevented more oversight from being in place. Do you guys have lobbyists that are trying to prevent oversight from being passed at the state level?
I'm not aware of that.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.